Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rituja, moderator for this conference. Welcome to the conference call of RITES Limited, arranged by Concept Investor Relations to discuss its Q4 and FY21 results. We have with us today Sri Rajiv Mehrotra, Chairman and Managing Director, Sri Debu Prasad Nayak, Director Finance, and Sri Pramod Narang, Chief Financial Officer. At this moment, all participants are in the listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question and answer session. At that time, if you have a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand over the floor to Sri Rajiv Mehrotra, Chairman and Managing Director. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rituja. Good afternoon to all of you. I am Rajiv Mehrotra, CMD of RITES Limited. Happy to welcome you to investor conference call of RITES Limited on financial results for FY21 and the fourth quarter of FY21. Hope all of you are keeping safe along with your families during these tough times. I have with me our Director Finance, Shri BP Nayak, and Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Pramod Narang. RITES Limited is a Mini Ratna Category 1 Schedule A public sector enterprise and a leading player in the transport consultancy and engineering sector in India, having diversified services and geographical reach. RITES Limited is the only export arm of Indian Railways for providing rolling stock overseas, other than to Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. I hope you all have been able to access the financial results presentation and press release uploaded on our website as well as the stock exchanges yesterday. Let me begin with the safe harbor statement. The presentation which we have uploaded on our website yesterday and the discussion during the call today may have some forward-looking statements. These statements are considering the environment we see as of today and obviously carry a risk in terms of uncertainty, because of which the actual results could be different, and we do not undertake to update those statements periodically. Now, I am going to talk about the highlights of company's results of FY21 and Q4 FY21, and then we can open the forum for questions and answers. FY21 has been an unprecedented year for the company and has thrown a lot of challenges before us. But with gradually normalcy returning in the business environment, our revenues also picked up with every quarter, and most of the parameters of our business had come back to pre-COVID levels in Q4 FY21. Now I will briefly talk about the consolidated full year results. And as you all know, almost 97% of our income is coming from standalone numbers as a part of the consolidation. So whatever I am talking about consolidated numbers is relevant to standalone also. The company's total revenue on consolidated basis stands at rupees 2,005 crore as against rupees 2,735 crore in FY20. Company's revenues from operations stand at rupees 1,860 crore as compared to rupees 2,474 in FY20. Fall in revenue is mainly due to decrease in exports by 448 crore rupees in FY21. But if you exclude the exports, the decrease in operating income is about 8.7%. The disruptions in supply chain and restrictions imposed due to pandemic affected the operations, and also 100 crore fall in other income has been there as compared to FY20. EBITDA and PAT stand at rupees 505 crore and 444 crore as against 668 crore and rupees 633 crore of previous year. EBITDA and PAT margins sustained at 27.2% and 22.2% respectively. Despite fall in revenue, timely cost control measures helped the company in sustaining these margins. The earning per share stands at rupees 17.54 for FY21 as compared to last year's rupees 24.64. Now coming to Q4 FY21 performance on standalone basis. Q4 FY21 results surpassed the Q4 FY20, that is YOY, but were not enough to make up for shortfalls in the first 3 quarters we faced. Q4 FY21 total revenue is up by 6.1% to 632 crore rupees as against 596 crore in Q4 FY20. The operating revenue, excluding other income, was up by 12% and stands at rupees 619 crore as against 553 crore in Q4 FY20. And the growth from Q3 FY21 to Q4 FY21 was 42.7%. During the quarter, export started for Cape Gauge locomotives to Mozambique and coaches to Sri Lanka. And as a result, exports have shown a YOY growth of 54.5%. However, revenue from some consignments which were actually ready for shipment is going to spill over to Q1 FY22. 30 coaches remained at the port, Chennai port, which were ready for shipment on 31st March due to non-availability of ship on FOB contract basis. So the buyer was to send the ship. EBITDA and PAT up by 17.3% and 2.4% respectively and stand at rupees 172 crore and rupees 135 crore respectively. EBITDA and PAT are sustained at 27.8% and 21.3% respectively as a result of near normalcy in operations during Q4 FY21. Now coming to segment-wise discussion. Consultancy remains the highest income generating segment for the company with 54% of the standalone income coming from the segment. Company generated a revenue of rupees 972 crore against rupees 1066 crore in FY20 with sustained gross margin of 44.2% during the year. Focus on international projects has led consultancy income from abroad showing 18.8% growth during FY21. However, less procurement by certain clients impacted the quality assurance income during the year. Q4 FY21 has shown slight growth of 2.8% during the quarter. Now, leasing. Company's leasing business recorded income of rupees 108 crore in FY21 against rupees 120 crore in FY21. I'm sorry, I will read this again. Company's leasing business recorded income of rupees 108 crore in FY21 against rupees 120 crore in FY20. Leasing business margin has remained healthy at 35.6% during the year and 38.4% during Q4 FY21. Revenue from leasing business moderated due to reduced requirement of locos in H1. Exports. Exports revenue during the FY21 stands at rupees 93 crore against rupees 541 crore during FY20. Gross margins in exports stand at 19% against 22.7% in FY20. This moderation in margins is attributable to lower exports during the year. Remaining export orders are under manufacturing and most of the shipments are expected to be exported during FY22. Turnkey construction. Revenue from turnkey construction project stands at rupees 624 crore in FY21 against rupees 673 crore in FY20. Gross margins from turnkey segments were maintained and it stands at 3.8% against 3.4% in FY20. revenue in Q4 FY21 has increased by 16.4% to rupees 198 crore, with execution reaching pre-COVID levels. Now coming to our subsidiaries and joint ventures, performance of our subsidiary Railway Energy Management Company Limited got impacted due to less traction power requirement during the lockdown, and revenue for FY21 stands at rupees 69 crore against 81 crores in the previous financial year. However, revenue from power generation within this total revenue improved by 46.9% and reached 16.5 crore during FY21. In FY21, our wagon manufacturing joint venture SRB WPIL revenue and profit stand at rupees 161 crore and rupees 2.5 crore respectively, against rupees 265 crore and rupees 15.5 crore respectively in FY20. And our joint venture IRSDC revenue and profit stands at rupees 39 crores and 5 crore respectively, against 50 crore and 5 crore respectively in FY20. Order book. Company's consolidated order book now stands at rupees 6,277 crore as on 31st March 21, with new or extension of orders secured to the extent of rupees 2,061 crores during the year. This order book gives us revenue visibility for almost next 2 to 3 years. We have sufficient order book in hand and shall exploit the various upcoming opportunities in infrastructure sector in India as well as abroad, which will help us in future business growth. Dividend. Final dividend of rupees 4 per share has been recommended by the Board of Directors, with total going up to rupees 13 per share as dividend attributable to FY21. This will have a dividend payout of 73.6% of PAT for the year FY21. That's all from my side. We are now open for questions and answers. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad and wait for your turn to ask the question. If you'd like to withdraw your request, you may do so by pressing star and 2. The first question is from the line of Rohit Natarajan from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity. So my first question is on the consultancy segment. We have close to 25 billion of order backlog. What is the kind of execution you can see in this particular year? Also, could you touch upon this order inflow part, especially on this consultancy? What is the order inflow you see in this particular fiscal?
Well, as we said, the order book for consultancy as of 31st March was 2,525 crore, and the delivery part, you can say this will spill over to about 2 years on average, because this has a combination of certain PMC works for rail connectivity projects of power companies or coal companies. This also has consultancy income from metro projects, which is spanned from 2 to 3 years, 4 years. So that is the profile of the consultancy as on 31st March 21. Inflow in Q1, consultancy, Q4, net from consultancy was 326 crore.
Sir, I'm talking about the inflow for the FY22 part. How much are we targeting? The new non-railway revenue, non-railway consultancy orders especially.
Look, it's very difficult to give a growth prediction, because the way we have seen last full year, there were disruptions in field works being done till Diwali almost hardly. any project was able to come to the construction speed. Hoping that the recovery remains up from now onwards, and it is safe to believe that we can see about 10 to 15% growth over what has been done in FY21. There are orders, but we need environment to actually execute. And if that is there, this will happen. And like this, the railways have a very high capex plan of 2,15,000 crore for the current year. And the orders have started just, being released. Last week only we got one order for electrification. We emerged L1 there. So I hope that there will be some more additions as we go into the year. Almost April and May. I think Rohit, that gives a flair of the timeline.
Sure, sir. Sure. And my second question is more on the export front. We have 13 billion of order backlog in exports. What is the delivery in this particular fiscal year?
I'm sorry, there was disruption. Can you repeat your last sentence, Rohit?
So what is the delivery schedule for exports in this particular fiscal? What are we targeting? What revenue numbers are we targeting in exports for FY22?
Contractually, the entire 1,333 crores of order book will be completed in FY22. But in case of, say, for example, in locals, there were just 2% items which were imported, 2% of the value, but that delayed the shipments in March by 2-3 months, and again further delays. We are now shipping 2 locals. These are already on the way to Mumbai port. So this type of supply chain disruption, if does not happen, I see no reason to worry about the delivery of this entire 1,333 crores in FY22. These are all under pipeline manufacturing.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have one more question on this export front itself. We saw the Q4 margins was a little bit on the higher front, EBIT margins for exports. Do you see that kind of sustainability in those margins in the remaining part of the order backlog?
Well, this will depend upon what equipment has gone. So, within the export basket, also the margins for different products would vary. But as we indicated, normally this could vary between 15 to 25%. I think this is within that limit of the upper side. This looks like reaching.
Sure. So that's it from my side. If there are any other questions, I'll get back into queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vinit Gala from Monarch Network Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Sir, continuation to the previous questions asked on the export part, a large part of the entire part of our order book is due for execution in this year. So, sir, I wanted to understand from your perspective, what is the visibility in terms of the new order inflow in this segment, and also what would be the book to bill in this particular segment? How would you look at this?
The visibility, it's very difficult to say, but the fact that we have started a new stream of, products for Cape Gauge market, we have inquiries coming from a couple of countries, but it's very preliminary. So it will take time to build up on those contracts. Typically, such contracts may take up to maybe 1 year to actually shape up and then come out. So right now, yes, there are certain discussions going on, but at this stage, we are not ready to give any quantitative number for this. But the fact that now we are able to supply broad gauge, meter gauge, we are able to supply Cape Gauge, the possibilities have actually increased for taking it forward.
Fair enough, sir. So, can you please articulate on your thought process in terms of maintaining our order book mix, given that most of the recent big wins are in the turnkey segment, while in our export segment and also in the consultancy part of the business, we don't have the same kind of order wins, So what is your thought process, and how do you look at this order book mix over next 1 to 2 years?
These products are different by nature. Like an export order would be significantly coming but not in a very repetitive way. Similarly, turnkey, when there is a tender like 1700 crore, we emerged L1. It does not happen on a routine basis, whereas consultancy contracts they keep coming from different segments gradually throughout the year. So the size is different. The exports turnkey contracts are very large, but very few coming in during the year. The consultancy and leasing, they happen throughout the year. Something or the other is going on every month. So that way it is very difficult to say that what final shape would emerge at the end of the year. But as we said, company would focus to remain a consulting company predominantly. Almost 50% revenue you can expect to be coming from consulting part, followed by exports. This year exports would be higher because the production is in the pipeline. This year we will see execution of turnkey, one spillover from last year, one doubling project. Also some electrification projects which we got sometime in February, March. The tenders for this are under award. So hopefully by third quarter of this year, revenue from that will also start. Turnkey would remain say around 20 to 25%. Exports this year might be slightly higher, maybe 30%. Then the balance is on leasing and energy management businesses. I hope I answered. I hope I answered.
Yes, sir. So so the way in which our mix would work over the next couple of years will also have an impact on our margins. So from that perspective, apart from FY22, how do you look at the margins basically in FY23 and so on?
See, despite challenges in this year, we try to maintain margins. So the mix is very important to maintain the margins. So the consulting, if it is higher in the basket, the margin headroom would be safer for the company. As we have seen this year, we got 54%, of course, slightly reduced number compared to FY20, but 54% was significant to keep the margin, overall margin profile of the company intact. So going forward, I think till 23, I don't see any major shift in the existing business mix.
Perfect. So last question on my side, what would be the breakup in our consultancy order book vis-a-vis, the quick moving parts, which is operation and maintenance and QA, and the second part, wherein, the conversion is slightly elongated, that is the rail and road infra. So what would be that mix?
Okay, in the consultancy order book of about 25 crores, we can take QA orders to the order of about 350 crores. So that's a quick moving within the basket. And the further, one second, the further detailing I have is here. One second. So if I can bifurcate the order book into consulting order book into 6 key streams. The airport orders are 186 crores, which is 7.4%. Highways 381 crores, 15.1%. Ports 86 crores, 3.4%. Quality assurance 84 crores, 3.3%. Railways 1062 crores, 42%. Urban transport, that is metros, 212 crores, 8.4%. Others 514 crores, 20%. So this is the profile of consultancy order book. And the leader here is railways and then followed by highways.
Thank you so much, sir. That's it from my side. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chintan Sheth from Samiksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and congrats for a decent sprint despite challenges. Sir, 3 set of questions. One is on consultancy first. For the fourth quarter, we are seeing margin compression.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Chintan Sheth, but your voice is echoing, so it is not clearly audible.
I was also about to say this. Slightly.
Now is it audible?
I think this is better. Keep the mic slightly away.
Sure. So, sir, point is on the consultancy part. For the fourth quarter, we are seeing margin compression YOY to be higher, despite our revenue and employee cost, which is the large part of the cost base for consultancy, remaining the same. So, in any one-off or any additional cost which we bear this quarter, which resulted into margin compression, and how should we look at going forward? That is one. Second is on other income, which you mentioned that other income has been lower this year, and particularly in 4Q, our other income has been quite significantly lower compared to last year and last quarter as well. So, any reason for that? And lastly, on the inventory part, we mentioned in the notes to accounts that 89 crore of finished inventory was sitting in our inventory for the year, but overall inventory it's 286 crore versus negligible historically. So what is the remaining inventory build-up of, and how should we look at it? That is all. Thank you.
Let me start from the last point. Possibly I could not fully get your first question, so let me start with the last point. The inventory, we tried to ship these orders as early as possible. If you recall one of my previous discussions with you all, I said this year we'll try to push the exports to 400 crores. That was the target for FY21. Somehow, because of some sub-assemblies, some import contents not being able to reach the production units in time. Now these 30 coaches were ready for shipment. We could actually take them to port, but then the remaining part could not happen on 31st because the ship which the buyer was to send was again, there was disruption in shipping lines during March. So this remained at the port. So we have taken this in the inventory. About 106 or maybe 104 crores of revenue of this shipment would actually be recognized in Q1. 30 coaches we are going to recognize in Q1 as being shipped out. Okay,
but still the inventory number looks very bulky, 200 crores. So even if I remove this 180 odd crore which you mentioned in the notes, it still results into another 100 crore of inventory. So I'm just trying to understand why.
Yeah, another 30 coaches were under manufacturing at Chennai but could not be taken to port because the port doesn't have the capacity to hold that many coaches. So that's also part of it. It's a very abnormal situation because in March the shipping lines were disrupted for various reasons, and this needs a good deck capacity to carry coaches.
So largely because of the exports, finished, unfinished inventory which is lying with ourselves.
Yes, but a lot of this would be pushed out maybe in June and in July, because again in April and May, like one or two countries where we are going to export are still under lockdown. So if a ship reaches there, they would not be able to unload. So with all those logistics being tied up, then only exports are being shipped out. So there's no problem with the manufacturing now, but the logistics actually emerged as a challenge. Replying to your second part, the annual other income shortfall is led by one item which is 91 crore rupees income we recognized in FY20. This was in settlement with the client overseas. So and that was a pure income because we had already provided for this earlier. Now this FY20 income was not there in 21, so this was a major gap. Other factor was that there is reduction in interest rates, so whatever surplus money was earning went down. Now coming to quarter 4 specifically, the impact as compared to Q4 FY20, three main reasons: exchange rate 17 crores, interest 7 crores, and income tax refund was there in FY20 Q4. So this 29 crore explains the difference between that time to here.
Okay, and on the consultancy, should I repeat my query?
I'm sorry, I lost track of your first question because it's better to go one by one. Yeah.
Sure. looking specifically for fourth quarter, so we see we have done a commendable job to bring the revenue back to the pre-COVID level of Q4.
Yeah, thank you.
And if we look at the quarter to quarter, fourth quarter to this fourth quarter, our employee cost has been remained the same, 130 to 136 crore. But our margins has declined from 50 to 40. So I'm just trying to understand what went into that, yeah. And how should we look going forward on the margins part?
A key impact was actually felt in the consulting business segment was on the quality assurance business. Certainly in Q1, Q2, there was significant reduction. Then this continued till March because certain clients did not place the orders or did not want the supply to take place. So the fixed cost of quality assurance team remained, but the revenue did not come. So this impacted, I think, about 12 crore rupees was because of this only. The 12 crore rupees down margin was only because of this QA additional cost continuing. And now coming to employees cost, we focused on the cost management since beginning last year. We reduced 166 numbers of employees. Never done in rights in the past, but then looking at the ground realities, we kept working on this. A combination of steps were taken. So I think we will try to maintain the margins as we see. And if the competition emerges later, then it's a different thing. We will take a view on each project we bid in the future. But I don't see any threat or a major underlying change to the margin profile in business.
Right. So we'll continue around bearing this QA part. Our margins will look much better than the reported number. Sure.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thanks. I will join back in if I am. And all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shreyansh Mehta from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my question pertains to the export segment. So, sir, could you let us know that probably in Q4, how much amount could we have lost because of this, non-shipment of the exports?
Okay. In terms of billing amount, this was...
Yes.
105 crore rupees of invoice could not be raised because the shipment as per the contract could not be generated.
Okay.
Another 30 coaches remained under almost finished stage in ICF. And the port, unless the first lot is cleared, the second would not be permitted to be parked at the port. So we were in a situation where despite the production pacing up, the shipments could not happen. And all these we are trying to push in Q4. 2 locos are already, as I said, on the way to Mumbai port, would be shipped possibly next week. For 30 coaches also, ship has been sent by the client. So Q4 should see a reasonable disposal of what could not be done in March.
So Q4 or 1Q?
I'm extremely sorry. Q1 would see spillover of Q4 being settled. Extremely sorry, yes.
Right. So 1Q probably can we expect in terms of exports, say around 300 odd crores in terms of revenues?
Looks likely, yes. If second lot of ship is also received for this next 30 coaches, yes, we could. If not, then maybe 10-15 days here and there.
Okay. Great. So second, my question is again pertaining to the exports. Basically, just wanted to understand our thought process, given that that 1300 odd crores would be totally finished probably by this year end. So which areas or which countries are we targeting now, and where do we force this order book, or how would we at least replace this entire order book?
Well, the fact is that there is a slowdown, if I can say, in processing of such capital purchases in several countries. But till we actually submit a price bid, we would not like to share that number. But yes, we are going to bid for a project very soon, one order very soon. There are inquiries from 2-3 countries about the DEMUs, diesel multiple units, but that is very preliminary. So if I can say that readiness yes, we are getting ready to bid for 250 coaches maybe next month.
Okay, sir. Any quantification in terms of numbers?
No. We will just stay at that, and otherwise it will become too much of a forward-looking number without even getting the
Got
L1
it.
or L2. Yeah.
Got it. And sir, if I'm not wrong, probably we were also planning to enter into Ghana and African countries. So what's the status out there?
We have not been able to send our teams actually. At least 3-4 countries we need to send our people to take up the discussions further. And these countries are actually creating infrastructure. So definitely
Correct.
they are candidates for purchasing. Now whether they buy from India or from anywhere else, all that is yet to emerge. But yes, Ghana is a possible candidate.
Got it. Sir, the other question pertains to our capex guidance, and how much of the capex have we done for this year, and what's the plan for FY22?
FY22 we have just approved 28 crore rupees of capex for purchase of 5 locomotives. We are going to place order now. We are building a lab cum office complex in Calcutta.
Correct.
A similar facility on a smaller scale in Lucknow. We have made 1 lab ready in Faridabad. So put together, if you see the investments in locos and further loco requirement would be around 150 to 175 crores. And then 200 crores equity, as we have already informed that we might take up investment in REMC for solar power required by railways. So put together
Correct.
around 350 to maybe safely 400 crores is what we have in hand. Similar amount we would be needing for working capital. And your first question, how much was spent in FY21? The amount is 80 crore. 80 crore rupees is net addition in capex, FY21.
Okay. Sure. And sir, last 2 questions. One on, if I just do a math, of the indicative breakup, which we had given in terms of growth, we are expecting. So 1300 crores in, exports and stuff. So roughly we are looking at, roughly a top end of 3000 to 3200 odd crores for FY22. Are we on track on that? Probably, do you think? Because that's a growth of almost 80 odd %, year over year.
See, it's very visible that with this order book and with a major, statement that exports would be shipped out, the figure is definitely going to be much better. But we'll wait for the normalcy, and we would not like to comment at this stage a number on the outlook. But it is definitely going to be better than what we have done, or maybe better than FY20.
Got it. And sir, my last question pertains to the turnkey segment. Now probably we are hitting that 4% mark. So can we surpass that, and can we move towards the 5 or 5.5% mark in the turnkey in terms of EBIT margins?
No, that's unlikely. We have been, if you see our previous guidance, we have been saying the margins could be 2.5 to maybe 3.5%. So we have brought it to 3.8% with say economies. The travel costs are down, the employee numbers have been reduced. But beyond that, no, it looks unlikely. Maybe touching even 4 looks unlikely.
Got it. So it would be in the similar range.
Yeah, I think 3.5 to 3.75 is a safer, realistic assessment.
Great. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dikshit Doshi from Whitestone. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So firstly, on the export side, so you mentioned that if the second lot is also got exported in next 15 days, we can do around 300 crore kind of revenue in Q1 itself. So if that doesn't go, then it will be around 100 crore?
No, then also this would be around 160, maybe 170, 180 crores is definitely there. Because these locos which are on the way to Mumbai, 2 locos already out. Then the 30 coaches are already on being boarded. The 30 next lot being shipped out by June looks slightly unlikely, because again there is a lockdown there. There was a lockdown in Chennai for a long time. So even if the ships had come, they would not have been able to upload.
Okay. Now, in terms of, so let's say by end of Q3 last year, our order book was around 1,400 crore. And that time, our assumption was that we'll do around 500 to 550 crore exports in Q4. And then the remaining 700, 800 crore kind of export will happen in H2 of FY22. Now this 500 crore out of this 550 crore, almost 450 got moved to H1 of this year. But we are likely to do the similar H2 700 800 crore kind of. Do you feel let's say if there is no third wave and there is no another lockdown, then it is very much possible to execute that 1,300 crore entire in this year itself?
Absolutely right, if there is no disruption further, because the entire supply requirement has been ordered and this is under manufacturing now. So 2 locos are already underway, 2 more would be done in July. So if there is no disruption in logistics or lockdowns, I am very confident that we'll have to ship out the entire 1,333 crores of order.
Okay. And one last question from my side. So, in Turnkey, you mentioned that there is 1,700 crore of order where we became L1 and which is not included in the order book. Can you just mention that how much was the total tender size where we got 1,700 crore L1?
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me take this number. See, this normally comes as a package of 6, 7, 8 projects, and then you have to pay. We give rate suitable based on the location, because if we are present there, my team is there, my office is there, So based on that, we have taken. The question is how many more were there? I think about 6. If I could say 6, 7 projects were there. We are
2 packages and 8 projects.
8 projects were there. Yeah, I have seen that list. Yes, there were 8 projects on which we.
So in terms of let's say in terms of rupees, so we got around 1,700 crore kind of orders, right? So can we say that the total tenders for the those was around 5,000, 7,000 crore kind of tenders were there?
Total was 1,700 and we got all. 100% we have got it, sir. 1,700.
All the 8 you are saying?
All the 8 put together was 1,700.
Okay.
We were L1 in all.
Okay, what he says that in this category, these projects are doable by us, all the 8 packages. And we have emerged L1 put together for these packages. And there is reason to expect more such packages, especially on the doubling and third lines.
Yeah, so my question was, so let me frame it this way. So I assume that since last year, so the railways are going on a bidding among the PSUs, right? And you, IRCON, RVNL, all those companies are started bidding for the project rather than the nomination base. So in this bidding, we got 1,700 crore of electrification. So do you say that entire order is won by us and there was no order given to IRCON, RVNL? Is that understanding right?
We have emerged L1. If there is any difficulty in any of the locations, then maybe we can decide to pick up 4, 5 or 6. Like last time, when we informed 800 crores, there were about 5 sections of rail lines which were given to us put together. So that is how these are sections put together 8, and we are L1. Right now there is no plan to give up, but we will see as the negotiations proceed. So we have not signed the agreement. We have emerged L1. Let me qualify this. We have emerged L1. We have not yet signed the agreement.
Okay.
But this was a significant development we thought we must share with the market.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Sheth from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Things go well, the consultancy will be able to do about 10 to 15% growth over 21 or 20, sir?
Sorry, if I heard your question right, you are saying the growth in consultancy, are you looking over 20 or over 21?
Yeah, that's right.
No. The FY21 is a fractured year, so if we at all talk growth would be on FY21. I'm sorry, again, 20, FY20.
So if things go well, we can grow at least 10% over FY20 is what we are referring to, right?
Yes, because my optimism is coming from the order book as also the capex plan of railways, 2,15,000 crores. So there will be a lot of incremental QA order, plus within this capex, whatever more we can get as a consultancy would be coming.
Sure. So my next question is that only that in this we have also assumed that quality assurance revenue will also be normalized, right?
Yes, normalized and incremental because highest capex budget railways is carrying this year. So there is no reason to be pessimistic that QA would not happen.
Okay. And sir, would it be possible to give us some sense of what is the kind of pipeline you have for the consultancy segment?
I think the indicative 10% growth actually consumes all our thoughts on this issue. We are going to bid for metro projects. We are looking for some extensions, and which is normal for any consulting company. So beyond that, quantifying any number at this stage would not be correct on my part. And I think the guidance of about 10% increase should for the time being suffice in my view.
Sure, sir. Appreciate that. Sure. Thank you. Those were my questions. And best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sarika Thorat from Union Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. I have two questions. Firstly, the media articles are suggesting that there is a station development happening for the Delhi and Mumbai railway station, CST railway station. And the amount is quite high, around 10,000 crore each, like that. So we will be bidding for these projects, and what would be the percentage of the engineering work we will be getting in these kind of a project? I want just a qualitative, data, not quantitative. And secondly, the update on the solar railway project. Actually, I mean, because we were actually in the bidding process last time you have mentioned. So what is the update there? I wanted to know. Thank you.
To my knowledge, the New Delhi station, I'm not too sure about the Mumbai station they are saying, but these are coming on composite, package basis, and not consultancy or PMC separately. The bidder who has to develop that property will have to bring the engineering partner later. So at this stage, we do not see any role to give a bid for development of this project at our own resource. So, New Delhi station, at this stage, it's difficult to say what role we will be able to take, and we are not in a position to bid for such projects on development basis. That's not our mandate. Now, coming to the solar part, we did float 3 tenders as we discussed some time back. The first one was on the railway land by developers, second was through REMC, and third was again on railway land but parallel to the tracks. What happened during this process, a lot of suggestions came that why don't you subgroup the land in a particular way so that the evacuation cost is minimized and then we are able to offer. And the bids actually did not come in that much number as perceived because of these queries remaining unanswered at investors' hands. So we decided to drop it there, change the conditions and rebid. So you will see this being put to rebidding this month. And our information to you that we may invest up to 200 crores through REMC in equity still remains valid.
Okay, so that 200 crore would be done in this year or next year?
No, I don't think whole can be done in this year. No.
Okay.
This might be maybe 2 years, half of.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parimal Mithani, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Hello.
Yes, please. I'm getting you. Yes.
This is regarding your REMC business. So I just wanted to know, being a normal operation, what would be the revenue in the current year and the PAT, if you can just highlight, if not for a COVID firm? And do you think this business over a period of time can contribute close to around 100 crores to your revenue?
Well, first of all, comment on last year's operations. Since April, most of the rail operations were either shut down or on a very minimum scale. So the power offtake was significantly reduced. We are handling around 1450 megawatts of power being purchased under open access. Right. So this came down to less than 1/3. Now this continued for time till almost Diwali, except some freight traffic. This situation has changed in March, but not fully normal. So that's one scenario, that once the rail operations normalize, they have capacity of 2000 megawatts requirement, of which we believe around 75 to 80% can be managed through us, because other states have not given open access permission. No.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. The line of the management got disconnected. Please stay connected while we reconnect. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently holding. The management line is reconnected back. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Rituja, sorry for the disruption. I do not know what happened. We thought our lines are intact. So, Garima, I lost the point.
Sir, this is basically regarding your subsidiary REMC, which is where you procure power for the railway station.
Okay.
So if I see your revenue for the last year, previous year, that is 19-20, you done 81 crores of revenue, and the PAT is close to 35 crores on that business. So if there's a normal operation of the business, do you think this revenue could be a substantial contribution going ahead for next 2 to 3 years? That's what I wanted to know. And secondly, sir, you have and secondly, you have a consultancy part in this business. Can you just break up the revenue of this business, how it is and how do you do it? It will be much better for you.
Okay, most of the business in REMC is on consulting, which is our fee income per unit basis for the power purchase for railways. And there is generation, I think about 16 crore per year is the generation coming from windmills in Jaisalmer. So except 16-17 crores, the entire revenue is consulting. Now, what is the size of this basket in near future? That's the question. And I will try to answer it from the plan which has been made public, that by December 23, railways want to electrify their tracks completely. And also keeping in view that DFC would be operational by then, it is estimated that the load would at least be minimum 4,000 megawatts. Right now we are at 2,000. and of 2000 we are handling about 75%. So
Okay.
if even for 4000 we handle 75%, so we would be handling something around 3000 megawatts of power, which is more than double definitely of what we are doing now. But that is a very conservative possibility in next 2.5 years. Beyond that, if there are more lines added with electrification, if there are more coal lines, more power lines, and then maybe semi-high speed projects which they are looking at, this can increase. And I think in about next 3 to 4 years, maybe this will reach around 5000 megawatts.
Okay. And sir, any ballpark revenue you can give us? I'm not quoting you for that, but what is the revenue? Suppose you get at 4,000 crores, what will be the revenue for this?
So this can go between 2 to 2.5 times safely.
Okay, and with the same PAT margin which are there currently, sir, we are enjoying, or it will be
maybe margins would be improved because we are not going to add fixed cost proportionately.
Okay. And so my second question is in terms of consultancy business. After this award in the turnkey, so your turnkey side of the business, if you get it, if you sign the memorandum, will be much heavier compared to the consultancy part of the business. So how do you see that going ahead in terms of next 2 to 3 years? Sir?
I think the turnkey contracts do not come, in a smaller numbers and on routine. So they have come maybe just bundled up at a time. But consultancy, yes, we are exploring possibilities for submitting bids for metro projects and projects outside India also. So the increase in consultancy would be there, but may not perfectly match with the volume which you are seeing in the turnkey, because this has come just maybe as a backlog also. See, there is a backlog of doubling and third line projects. Once they come, maybe by September something should come there also.
Okay. And sir, any update on the leasing business? If you can just how do you see that going ahead?
The leasing has started actually picking up. Once the normalcy started in January to March, we actually added 5 more leasing contracts. So yesterday's board has approved 5 more locomotive purchases. So I see this steadily going as it was doing almost 10% year-on-year basis. That possibility remains intact.
Okay. Sir, just last question if I can. Is it safe to assume, sir, we'll maintain the same dividend payout going ahead which we maintained over the last 2-3 years, which is there?
I think the 2 years story should give you confidence about the future, but I cannot commit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for answering the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harshit Kapadia from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity and congratulations for good set of numbers under this challenging time, Rajesh and the team. I believe, sir, your stint at RITES has been phenomenal and RITES has achieved a lot more heights under you in this tenure. And congratulations for that and along with your team as well. I have some questions for you. So if you can highlight in some of the calls earlier as well as on some of the interviews you had mentioned that you have already developing some work for standard gauge network as well. So can you highlight, are you talking to some countries for export as an opportunity for even standard gauge coaches or locomotives? Is that something which is already in talks with? That would be really helpful. And along with that, on the export front, you were bidding for some projects in the Southeast Asian countries. So has that project been presently on hold, scrapped? What is the status? Because that was a large project that we were eyeing. That would be helpful. I'll follow up with more questions.
Arshad, if I can answer standard gauge point first.
Yeah.
We were so far, maybe till 2-3 years back, were trying to sell what we used to manufacture. But then customization was not a priority, and possibly maybe a different quality was not all that pressed. But having worked closely with the clients and the experiment with Demu for Sri Lanka, it was a completely different profile product, went very well. Based on that, we started getting inquiries from other countries also. We were tracking Cape Gauge market, but as we got success in Cape Gauge product launch, we also have started working on one locomotive on a standard gauge. So I think by this year end, we should be having a prototype. Because unless you have a product, unless you see a car before you, you won't buy it. So it's necessary to first develop a product and then market it. We succeeded with the Cape gauge experimentation. We are going to repeat this for standard gauge. And standard gauge market is much deeper than all others put together. So there is definitely interest. I would not like to name any country because we are not yet informed any exchange about this. But standard gauge, yes, we are developing this.
And it will also be wise to understand, would the costing be lower compared to your other competitors, just on a normal basis, sir, without getting deep into numbers?
No, cost has to be competitive. There are competitors without naming any country. Yes, there are competitors, and we are able to compete. We will definitely be competitive. And gauge business is either you buy a ready-made bogie from outside or you develop indigenously. Rest of the things are not very different. So whether it is a locomotive or whether it is a coach, once you are able to successfully develop bogie or buy it from outside for launching the product, then experiment with the new customers, and there is response. We have been talking to countries, then only we have taken this step forward.
Okay, sir. Okay. And on the Southeast Asia export order, sir, which you were already working on?
That order is not yet out for submitting price bids.
Okay. Okay. But it is the order is on hold. It's not scrapped, right? So there could be some...
They are all struggling with the COVID-related disruptions.
Okay.
Therefore, I said hopefully by July, I think we should be looking at price submissions there.
Okay. So my next question is on the inflow side. You had given some sense on the growth in terms of order inflows. Now, would that also mean, since you only highlighted 10 to 15% kind of a growth, would it mean that large projects like bullet trains, semi-high speed trains, the upgradation of Mumbai and Bangalore network possibly may shift to FY23, and possibly government is right now looking only towards major as in projects which are more smaller size and fast to do. Is that a correct understanding, sir?
No, I think I will say that the government is ready with its plans, capex plans. Also, the metro companies or states which are developing, they are ready. But sudden disruption or the type of disruptions we have had would not be helpful for any sector, whether it is manufacturing or transportation or exports. So I think for the time being, we all should actually wait and see how the vaccination picks up, and are we able to control the wave 3, so-called feared wave 3 by September, October. Then only all the new business stocks actually would hold ground. Some time back I was confident of proceeding with one or two major orders, and then suddenly we find in April that we are locked down. So right. I would not guess the inflows, but potential is all around. Yes, why not? Not only in India, but outside India where we are working.
And so presently
whether it is Africa or Southeast Asia, people are suffering because of COVID.
But in India, sir, with starting from June, has things come back to normalcy for you, or we are still in that like 50%, 60% utilization level? We are still yet to catch up.
No, this is not normal. No. Even the government guideline on the attendance is that not more than 50% at below certain level should be called to office. So we are following this path in a very, very careful manner. So the project sites are still impacted. The land acquisition is impacted. But hopefully, maybe once the vaccination drive actually starts picking up, hopefully by August, September, it would be possible to see the impact on the ground. But right now, it's not comfortable.
And question on turnkey construction. What I heard is 1,700 crores worth of order you have received as L1. And if I add, close to 2,200 crores of orders, so you are almost close to 4,000 crores worth of orders. If I add both of them together, so is it possible to understand that because government wants to make electrification complete by 2023, they are pushing these projects on a faster basis, and hence for a short period of time, RITES may see turnkey construction revenue increasing significantly. May not be in FY22, but possibly in FY23-24, given the size that it has in terms of order book.
I partly agree with you, Mr. Harshad.
Yeah.
When you are saying that electrification projects are on priority, absolutely right, because the entire route is to be electrified by December 22. But once this electrification is over, no new projects will come, is not correct actually. This sector is going to see investments in more capacity additions. When the new lines are done, the new electrification would also carry on. So we are not just on electrification only. We have done doubling. We have completed our electrification projects last year completely. So what orders came in February, we are executing now.
So my question was, would RITES share in turnkey construction increase more than 30% of its sales? Because earlier what we were targeting is we should not go more than 30% of our sales as a percentage of our sales for a turnkey construction in any year, because we want to remain a consultancy company. But since your order book has now increased to 4,000 crores, hello?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Yes, I'm trying to.
Yeah. So now since your order book has now increased to 4,000 crores, so is it visible to see that in maybe in FY23-24 the percentage from turnkey construction may increase beyond 30% to let's say 35%? Would that be a fair assumption?
That's not as a policy that we will do 30 or 40%, but if these projects like this year, FY22 exports will possibly have a very good jump for reasons already discussed. Similarly, if the turnkey contracts are taken now, these contracts are not given every month. Maybe one lot in a year or two lots in a year. Last year we got only one lot. Now this lot has come now. The documentation, design, tender itself will take 6 months to 8 months. So what we are seeing today is actually going to generate revenue maybe somewhere in March 22 or 22-23 only. So nothing to worry that we have become a whole hog turnkey company. But it is important to build up the orders in hand so that people can position their focus, manpower, everything in time.
Okay. And so last question from my side, if you can, this is a bookkeeping question, if you can highlight the quality assurance revenue number for FY21 within the consultancy bracket.
Just 1 second. This is 298 crores. FY21 you are asking? Full year?
Yes, sir, FY21.
298 crores. This is I think about 10% lower than the...
367.
360, okay. This
367.
Oh yeah. FY20 it was 367.
Right.
It's almost down by 20%.
20% down. Okay, sir. Okay. Wishing you all the best to RITES in the team.
You heard me, the capex is highest this year. So we might actually make up on the base of FY20.
Understood, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Wishing you all the best, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ashok.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ramesh Bhojwani from Mehta Vakil and Company Limited. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. First and foremost, it is so heartening and encouraging to see that despite having your hand in so many projects and so many consultancies, you have come out again on top with flying colors. My one singular thought which is in my mind, which I would like to share with you, the existing railway infrastructure, if it can be supplemented and complemented, can we not increase the speed of the railways by 25% to 50% until and rather than wait for new lines of high-speed trains and semi-high-speed trains? That was my question.
I think this is very, very intelligent observation, because if you have a network already available, we should not rush through high technology and high investment part of it. Therefore, if you notice, the railway is declaring from time to time that our average speed for freight goods, freight trains was 25, which has actually gone up to 50. And so they are consistently working on the obstructions, restrictions, the signaling part of it, and the electrification. All this has increased the utilization of existing track, and there is a program. All these trunk routes, that is Delhi Mumbai, Delhi Calcutta, and then followed by other routes, they are going to increase it to 160 kilometers speed. Once that happens, you will see a lot of increase in the passenger speed as well as the goods train. And when the traffic goes to DFC also, then we have further easing out on the existing. So you are right that instead of actually doing a greenfield investment, better to utilize your key routes first with electrification, with better signaling, with better quality of rails and better maintenance techniques. And that's, I think, what exactly the railways are doing now.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. That is very wonderful to hear and know that. I just wanted to confirm it. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Umang Shah from Hamsek Life PMS. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and a great set of numbers, sir. Sir, internally, do you perceive the Indian Railways reducing consultancy margins as a risk for the long term?
See, in long term, every business has a risk because you do not know how many players can come in. And as we have opened up economy, so people are actually coming, tying up with us, people are coming and tying up with others also, but this cannot happen overnight. What we have done in 47 years cannot be repeated by anybody just overnight. So we are not threatened. Rather, whenever there is a possibility, we are tying up with experts required in metro sector, high-speed segment, metros, and then airports also. So it is an opportunity also, it is a threat also. Now, it will depend how we use it.
Sure, sir. And sir, about the IIT Delhi design project that you won in the last quarter, sir, are we also looking for such orders in the private sector?
There's no restriction in going to private sector, but this came on a tender basis, and this is very close to our operating area. So we thought what we can deliver with minimum cost, possibly nobody would be able to do. So we gave best considered price, I will say, and we got it. And private sector, yes, we are ready to do if such a requirement is there in private sector. You know, we work with MEA, we work with the universities, we work with the defense, so on all such miscellaneous institutional projects.
Right, sir. Right. And the last question, sir, if I could, sir, is there any internal conversation about the financial health of the Indian Railways itself and that leading to the slowdown in spending in next 5 years? Because the debt burden has been significantly increasing.
Well, I would not comment on the health of railways because they have their own ways of managing this. But if you look at the abnormal situations they have faced, suddenly they had to stop operations, then the freight was disrupted and the costs are fixed. So I think within that they have managed it well. Once the economy picks up, you know, despite the disruptions, the freight volume is record. They have taken highest freight last year. So they are also trying their, but there is no fear of, say, debt trap. If you do not invest in this infrastructure, the cumulative cost on the economy is still higher. So I don't think that should worry. Rather, if you notice last 5-6 years, almost every year the capex is being increased by 15-20%.
True, sir. True, sir.
When you have the confidence that you can mop up.
Right, sir. Right, sir. That will be all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Krishna Parekh from Ashima Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question has already been answered, so I have no question.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
We'll move to the next question, which is from the line of Lokesh Manik from Vallum Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Good afternoon, sir. My question was on the turnkey part of the business. Just for clarification, our role in the entire project would be for consultation and supervision, and the EPC part would be outsourced to a subcontractor, in that event, who bears the execution and the performance risk? Would that come on us, the project execution risk?
That's a very, very important question, and let me clarify this, that our role is almost again like a consultant only. First to conceptualize, design, get it approved, put it to tender, select a party, and the risk is borne by the party. Party means the contractor. The entire EPC risk of time overrun is borne by them.
So the selection of party is done by the railways, or that is done by us?
We do that.
Okay.
Therefore, they have been able to accelerate the growth of, the results you are seeing, that 6,000, 7,000 kilometers of route kilometers of electrification is happening because a lot of agencies are putting their efforts. We are doing, other railway PSUs are doing, railways directly they are doing.
Right.
So that is the outcome you can see.
Okay. And sir, if I understand correctly, this is a very attractive business that we have, and margins are high actually, similar to the consulting business, because we are recognizing the entire project cost on the revenue part, which is why the 3.5% looks optically low, but if you calculate on your 8.5% of the consultation fee, then it comes up to about 30%. Is that my understanding correct? Because we are taking on the entire project cost on the revenue.
Absolutely right. The margin within the fee quoted is actually structured accordingly. Yes, absolutely right.
So do we have any plans to maybe go aggressive on this business front, given that this is a working capital light model compared to a consultancy business? Again, that is a forte, and we don't want to divert too much from that. But a turnkey is very attractive for us to step on the pedal and probably hire more manpower and employee strength to cater to that side of the business, given the attractiveness of the business.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Without much of incremental manpower or manpower cost being added, the initial projects we have been able to handle. But we do not intend to become a turnkey construction company, because there are other companies in the sector which are doing these jobs in India. But this has definitely prepared us as a complete solution provider. If today I have to give a bit somewhere from concept to commissioning of a railway system, we have earned that capability now. Also, you see, in last 2-3 years, we just delivered all the electrification projects given to us, all the doubling projects given to us, except a small portion of the turnkey, which possibly was delayed because of the technical requirements in a particular junction. Our projects have been delivered without much incremental manpower cost being added to the company. So initially, people had apprehensions about what you are doing. From consulting, you are going to construction. But I said the same set of people are doing this work for other clients. They can slightly earn more for the company with this business. And I think we are happy that it has yielded positive results for the company without exposing us to construction or financial risk.
But that's fair enough, sir. But we are any which way is not, in the turnkey. We are only in the consulting part. So I don't think it would be right to brand us as, an EPC company. But then at the other end, it's also so attractive that we should be looking at going aggressive and not maybe with the existing manpower, and probably with even more manpower, or opening up more offices where these projects are coming up. Again, coming back to the attractiveness of the business compared to the rest 3 businesses that we are doing.
I think we felt that we have capacity to handle a little more. So after completing the jobs in hand last year, then getting about 800 crores orders sometime in February, I think we got. So we gave again offers for some more business. But not at the cost of our core businesses.
Definitely not, sir. This can be an incremental.
There is a scope to actually leverage it further within the employees' strength. And you see, we have reduced manpower by about 8%.
Right.
Still adding incremental business. So the productivity is being put up consistently.
Right. So, and if I look at our growth on an overall basis, is it fair to approximate that with the capex of the government and the railway sector if the railway capex and the central government capex is growing at say 10%, we can expect at least 10%. Would that correlation be apt, 1:1?
I think permit me to very guardedly answer my question.
Very broadly, sir. Very broadly, nothing specific. I'm not going to hold you to.
As per the new guidelines, something which is not declared, but given the publicly available information, there is a National Infrastructure Pipeline (NIP),
right,
where
right.
the basket of projects has been increased even in this budget. So within that, you see opportunities coming from railway sector, highways, airports, ports, power. We are into all these segments. So there is buoyancy on the, of course, once the normalcy returns, you will see things moving fast because we need to solve the unemployment issues as well. So when that happens, companies like RITES, I'm sure will not be sitting back and not getting those incremental business.
Right, right. So just last one, if I can squeeze in. On the project value basis of both consultancy and turnkey, on the project, not on the sale, what would be a market share approximately in these capex programs of the government and including the railways? A very broad idea in terms of our market share.
It's very, very difficult because the market share itself is very difficult to determine.
Okay. So 1,000 crore consultancy revenue would be approximate 10,000 of the project, 10,000 crore project value. Is that fair enough?
20 to 25 times.
Okay, it's 20 to 25 times.
So if I'm commenting on my income and multiplied by the multiplier effect on the project value, you are absolutely right.
Okay.
Possibly we are one of the biggest consulting fee income booking company, but I do not have more data to elaborate upon this.
Right.
But I think 20 to 25 times is the value we have to deliver to earn this money. So consulting income looks small, but then a lot of efforts go into.
No, that's fair because in the past you mentioned that the about 8 to 10% of the project cost is usually the consultancy revenue part of the entire project.
That's it, yeah.
Yes. That's how I derived it.
So I think I'm optimistic about next couple of years because government says they will double and triple the investments. NIP is there with the projects identified and approved.
Right.
So let us hope for normalcy to return on the COVID front.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shreyansh Mehta from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity once again, sir. So my question pertains to REMCL. So just wanted to know what is the investment as on date in REMCL?
This would be around 105 crores total equity.
105. Okay, sure.
Together both the partners, railways and rights together. So railways and rights मिला करके 105 crores. Bonus. And this is 51%. So this is
so our share would be around 50-55 odd crores.
50-51. But initially we invested less because we recently gave one bonus. So
correct.
My colleague says that this is including bonus figure. So you can say that is the investment right now.
Got it. And sir, once we do this 200 crore odd investment, where do we see, this top line, say probably a year down the line or 2 years down the line?
Okay. See, there will be two types of revenues flowing in. One is on the return of investment for this 400 megawatts, which is being done by us on ownership basis. So there we are likely to get that CERC formula, say roughly about 15-16% of ROE. That is one set of business. The second set of, and the bigger pie would be getting a fee, which is right now indicated to be 5 paise per unit for power generated by others but consumed by railways on power generated on railway land. And this should give about, the ballpark would be around maybe 40 to 50 crores of incremental business. Put together. Both things put together.
Okay, so sir, I just wanted to, I'm just trying to understand, from, an investor's perspective, will it be a value accretive? Because, currently on a 50-55 odd crore, we are doing a top line of 100 odd crore. And once we do a 200 crore investment, again on that probably we'll be doing roughly around 60-80 odd crores. So I'm just trying to, am I right in my understanding?
No, sir. No. You possibly missed one important explanation I did. That we are right now handling 75% of the installed capacity. The installed capacity itself will be more than doubled. And it's likely to be touching around 5,000 megawatts in 2 to 3 years down the line, including the DFC. So if you are handling that, you are already 2.5 times up from here, and then you add this. I think then you get a more comfortable, possibly, number than what is discussed.
Got it. So I think I'll take it offline. Got it. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
You can talk to me also separately, absolutely no problem.
Sure. Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chintan Sheth from Sameeksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the follow-up. Thanks for the follow-up. Now the voice will be better. Sir, on the capex front, you mentioned 28 crore for the locals for 5 new locals, to 5 new locals, and the remaining 140 to 150 odd crores you mentioned will be spread over a couple of years, or this year itself we will be spending?
Chintan, can you keep your mic little away? Let me tell you again that 28 crore rupees has been sanctioned by board yesterday for 5 in-service locomotives, and this is not the end of it. We already have indicated to the market that we intend to buy 10. So maybe there will be one more spell of purchases a little later. But since now the old locomotives are available at very attractive price, so earlier idea of going for expensive new investment is not needed. I mean, there's a change in circumstances completely, and we are getting a ready delivery. So very soon we'll be able to get these 5 locomotives. And then possibly again next lot would also be in-service locomotives, as we call them.
Right. It will be already in service, but we'll be using them.
Now remaining capex, I said there would be requirements. We already have started one building block with a laboratory in Calcutta, and we intend to do this in UP region also at Lucknow. So where about 120 crores would be spent in 2 years.
In 2 years, right?
2 years.
Okay.
This year and next.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Chintan Sheth, but there is a lot of disturbance from your line. We cannot hear you clearly.
This problem, Chintan, I think.
Sorry, is it better now, sir?
Yes.
So I must. How many locals right now we are, we have been leased out currently, as of March of 21?
66 or 67 you already leased.
67, right? Yeah, 66, 67. Okay, sir. That's all from my end. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand over the call to the management for the closing comments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for very patient hearing and very interactive discussion with the management. We have had a very turbulent year for everybody, and we tried to optimize on whatever resources we had quarter over quarter, and we were optimistic that normalcy would return soon and we will catch up. But then this got delayed till maybe Diwali. The things were not moving. In March, we thought we are out of this, and then suddenly we are caught in April again. Hopefully, I pray that situation normalizes. The company's strength is intact. Our order book is intact. The sector gives optimism in India as well as outside India. And I'm sure my colleagues would continue to seize more opportunities and deliver professionally. I also would like to share one important event with you. That I started my journey with this company in 2007 as a Director of Finance, and I'm due to retire this month on 30th June. I have been a part of major changes in this company from expanding to different markets, to getting listed, and then today we are seeing, attempting higher growth. So I'm sure my successors would continue with the same zeal, or maybe with more zeal in the times to come, as the opportunities will be many more times. This success would not have been possible without your unwavering support and confidence in the company. I am grateful to you for the same. Best wishes from my side. Goodbye, and take care of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for all being a part of a conference call. If you need any further information or clarification, please mail at gaurav.g@conceptpr.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your conference for today. Thank you for using Chorus Conference Call Service. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you and have a pleasant day.